Joe Rogan went scorched earth on Nancy Pelosi.
Do you see the Nancy Pelosi thing? The new one? She's worth an estimated $400 million now.
How? What's the salary?
In a recent episode on his podcast, Joe reacted to an interview where Nancy was finally pressed on insider trader allegations, and he used the moment to highlight that this problem exists on both sides of the aisle.
If you look at like who's making money on the stock market, it is not all Nancy Pelosi. It is red, blue, red, blue, red, blue.
And today, we're covering it all. So if you're an independent thinker, hit that subscribe button and let's jump right into it.
The new one?
She was being interviewed and then was like, I didn't want to talk about that.
Anderson Cooper. You put that on. Anderson Cooper, he sneaks it in. She's like, I came in here to talk about the anniversary of Medicaid. Like, she cares about Medicaid. Here, let's watch this because it's so funny.
Let me just read what he said. I'm sorry that we had some sort of technical issue. Nancy Pelosi became rich.
Why do you have to read that? We're here to talk about the 60th anniversary of Medicaid. That's what I agreed to come to talk about.
Yeah, but I
and
wanted
what
to...
that means in the election.
I wanted to give you a chance just to respond. He accused you of insider trading. What's your response to that?
That's ridiculous. In fact, I very much support the trading of members of Congress. Not that I think anybody's doing anything wrong. If they are prosecuted and they go to jail. But because of the confidence it instills in the American people, don't worry about this. But I have no concern about the obvious investments that had been made over time. I'm not into it. My husband is.
First of all, whenever a politician tells you there's nothing to worry about, that's your cue to pay attention. Second, this goes to show how her husband Paul might be the best stock trader of all time, even better than Warren Buffett, the S&P 500, and every other major hedge funds. Some reports even suggest that during Nancy's tenure as Congresswoman, their trading activity produced a return of almost 17,000%. In fact, she was so successful that lawmakers introduced bills literally named after her, aiming to ban politicians from trading stocks altogether. And Nancy knows this isn't something she can talk her way out of, which is why she quickly shifted gears and tried to drag Trump into the conversation, saying this.
But the president has his own exposure, so he's always projecting. He's always projecting. And let's not give him any more time on that, please. We're going forward here, and I'm very proud of my family. And while he might make fun of us, while somebody inspired by him breaks into our home and hits my husband in a deadly fashion, hits my husband over the head, and he thinks that's a riot, I'd rather not go into some of my other complaints about him right now. Rather to talk about the 60th anniversary of Medicaid.
Okay. First of all, what crazy projection. She immediately turned herself into a victim. That guy was a crazy person. You're blaming Donald Trump for that?
No.
That's so nuts that you have gone from... You made an insane amount of money. A lot of people say you're insider trading. What's your response to Donald Trump? My husband got hit in the head with a hammer.
They're all black belts at deflection.
He thinks it's funny. You know, it's all because the president has a lot of exposure.
Exactly. It's shocking enough that CNN even pressed Nancy on something this serious, but Joe's reaction shows people are finally catching on to the deflection routine that politicians love to use. As if pointing at Trump somehow erases the insider trading accusations, it doesn't change a single fact. And just put into perspective how questionable her financial gains really are, Joe laid out some simple math. Her official salary versus her current net worth. So let's hear what he had to say about that.
When you look at the decisions, like she dumps stock and then 3 months later, some big bill comes down the line that that company.
Yeah.
She buys stock and then 3 months later, some big bill that comes down that, you know, they're funding for this new project. It's crazy. She's worth an estimated $400 million now.
How? What's the salary? 70,000 a year?
170 grand a year, something like that. 200 grand a year, maybe. You know, but watching the panic in her face, realizing that Trump is now president and they're talking about literally going after her for insider trading, and the undeniable evidence that they have had better results on the stock market than literally anyone ever.
Yeah.
And they have access to information about laws that are going to be passed.
Yeah.
If that's not insider trading, what?
To put what Joe just said into numbers, Nancy's estimated net worth currently sits at around $280 million. But back in 1987, which is the year she first entered Congress, her financial disclosures show that her and her husband reported between $610,000 and $785,000 in stocks in their portfolio. But what really raises eyebrows is her unmatched timing in the market. For instance, she bought Tesla stocks right before an infrastructure bill with EV credits was proposed in 2021. She invested in Nvidia before the CHIPS Act that gave billions to chip makers passed, and sold Google stocks before the DOJ launched a probe into the company. Her moves are so consistently well-timed that there are Twitter accounts dedicated to tracking her trades so others can copy them. Joe went on to explain that this issue isn't unique to Pelosi, and he made some valid points.
There's a reason why that whole ability to trade stocks is still in position, and it's because they want it there. They make a ton of money. The general
they have
public,
all the insider information.
So they have to figure out at what point in time is this too dangerous, and who's willing to like make this a law, who's willing to change this, and what politicians are going to sign on board for that, because they're actually voting against their own self-interests.
Yeah.
Right? If they all decide, like, it's like they're playing chicken. Like, as long as they don't do it, as long as they don't do it, then they can still make a ton of money. But if you look at the numbers, like if you look at like who's making money on the stock market, it is not all Nancy Pelosi. It is red, blue, red, blue, red, blue. It's pretty much down the middle. And you're hanging out with Harry, the senator from in South Dakota or whatever, and Harry's got a yacht. Like, how'd you get a yacht, Harry? Like, Bobby's got his own private jet. How'd you get your own jet, Bob? You're a congressman. Like, what are you doing?
He is absolutely right. Pelosi gets the most heat because she's been the most successful at it, but the entire situation proves the uniparty is real. One report shows that this year alone, 108 members of Congress have made around 7,800 trades. And if you look at the table of distribution, you'd see Ro Khanna at the top of the list, followed by a mix of Republicans and Democrats. So this isn't a left or right issue, this is a Washington issue. Now, don't get me wrong, making money is great, but when lawmakers sit on committees that oversee the same industries they're trading in, how is that not a massive conflict of interest? Even Elon Musk called it out earlier this year, and needless to say, he didn't hold back.
There is a massive amount of corruption, but it is circuitous. Let's just say that there's a lot of strangely wealthy members of Congress where I'm trying to connect the dots of how did they become rich while earning. How'd they get 20 million if they're earning 200,000 a year? It sounds. Nobody can explain that. So something's. Yeah, we're going to try to figure it out and certainly stop it from happening.
This makes it pretty clear why the Washington elites went after Elon so aggressively. The steps he was taking, and the ones he was preparing to take, posed a direct threat to their financial pipeline. They didn't wait around either. The Uniparty moved fast to smear him and shut down any momentum Doge was building. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on this story, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.